Good morning to what is a glorious day, slightly cloudy, but these clouds disappear just as quick as the rain does. Welcome to the channel. If you're new, welcome. If you're existing, hello. Thanks for the comments, everybody. I'm just going to be updating you on where the basement is at the moment. We're meant to be pouring tomorrow, being Tuesday. We're using a company called Rayside, which is a company that we've used in the past on the island. At the moment, there was a couple of local people we were getting quotes from that I was quite keen to go with. But as you know, we've had some quite large issues on concrete stability, cracks, ponding, etc. So I'm not too sure whether we're ever going to get it right or wrong on concrete, but under the circumstances, I just wanted to make sure that the company is substantial and we can obviously lean on them to make sure that the job goes as well as possible. Today, obviously, I'll give you an update in a minute, obviously, on how we got on yesterday with some stuff. So we did work Saturday and Sunday, and I'll show you what I'm going to be doing this morning. And then I'll also talk to you through what's left to do with regards to us being ready for tomorrow. That's if it goes ahead. At the moment, there's a little bit of radio silence from the provider. I'm not looking at that as a bad thing. However, assume the worst and you won't be disappointed. And like I said to you, we're hoping to bring it over the wall just about here. So we'll keep the lorry in the road. We'll run some pump pipe work all the way down behind the wall, behind here. Come over the wall, which means by the end of play today, we need to get all the rolls and sheets and everything out for the grass. And we also need to make sure that we're taping up all around here to ensure that we can restrict any form of spraying and splashing of concrete, which I don't know if you guys have been experienced in that enough, but it does bloody go everywhere. So let me take you down and show you what happened. Grab a nice cup of coffee. Okay, so let me take you into the sauna. All right, as you can see on the roof, we have some battens. We weren't going to go too mad with the battens because of weight, really. But we have actually decided to go with the 2x2. So we've got 4x2. Again, some say 2x4, some say 4x2. Let me know in the comments below where you're from and what it is classed as where you're from. But we've got 4x2s at the moment. We're planing them down in half. That gives us roughly a 2x2. It's not. It probably works out about 1.25 inches stroke half times 2. One side is slightly wider than the other, so the width of the board is normally thinner than the width and the length that we're cutting in half. So at the moment, as you can see, we've gone ahead with putting them onto the actual lines that were 4 foot from the formwork that the concrete was poured from, and then we've done a 16-inch centre on the other 2 internals. So as you can appreciate, if you're looking at a 4 foot board, you've got a 2x2 on the outside, a 2x2 on the outside, and then 16 inches in from each side of that, there is a length. That will enable us to board it and know exactly where we are pinging a line on it. We'll know where all the actual wood is, and we'll be able to obviously fix a screw in. Now, we were going to go for 1 in the middle rather than 2, but yeah, we need to do it properly. The other thing we have found, obviously, is when you stand from this sort of angle, it all looks quite straight, but we do have a few sort of quite bows. To give an example, there's one just there. So this one here is not fixed because here there's a bow, so we're going to have to plane that fix somehow, or screw it to the ceiling, pull a line and shave it from the outside. That's probably what we'll end up doing. That will be easier. And the guys did make a slight impact on this side as well. So we've got a few up, but there's still work to be done there. So we've got most of the work for the ceiling done, which means the electricians also can come in and start putting the conduits on this ceiling as well. I think with the pour happening tomorrow, nothing's going to be happening on the ceiling from now, that's for sure. And that's not our focus anyway. It was just, let's try and get as much of it done as possible so that when the floor goes down, we're not doing as much above. As I've said on here, we're also going to be using, if I can find a little bit of it. There was a bit. Where's that gone? Oh, typical. I actually had it yesterday. So we're actually, the air conditioning guys make the ductwork. There it is. Right, sorry. So the guys that make the ductwork use this blue foil-based both sides board. And what they do is they make the ductwork out of it. They glue it, they cut it. As you can see, this one's at an angle. He says, get the angle right. They cut it at an angle, they make 45 degrees, they glue them together, and it's a good insulation. It's not massive, I would say the R value on that is probably about R7, R8. If anybody knows about insulation, the thicker and the more effective the insulation, the better it is on retaining heat or retaining cooling, depending on where you are. In England, we try and retain the heat, keep the cold out. Here, we want to retain the cool in and heat the heat out. So you would always use some form of cavity. So that, across these, we could do 2 things. We can go into the cavity with this, or we can go over the cavity. Now, normally you would create a cavity to create a better insulation value. So on here we would get I think they're 4x8 sheets straight over this and screw it straight in. It does mean we're going to come down by what looks like about 3/4 of an inch. Then with the plasterboard being 1/2 inch, that means we're going to be the best part of 1.25 inches coming down in more height, which I don't want to do. So the benefit of putting them in between the wood is that we wouldn't come down by 3/4 of an inch. The downside to that is the heat transfers from the concrete into the product. And really what you want to do is keep the product away from the surface it's trying to protect. So let me know in the comments below. I'm not an insulation engineer, I'm just using common sense. So I'm assuming that if you've got an insulation board or fibre directly on the surface, it's going to absorb the heat more than it is ricocheting it if it's a cavity, if that makes any sense. So I would say that you're better off going over the whole thing with a board. I mean, the best thing to do would be to put a piece in between and a piece over the whole lot. But that would obviously become quite expensive. So it's either going to be going inside and then going over with plasterboard and having a bit more height and less cost. Or we go over it with the boards, plasterboard as well. That does mean we're coming down but creating a cavity. That would probably be the better option, and it would be the same in cost. The third option is to put boards in between, I'll do it in reverse, here and here, and then go over the whole thing again and do boards. That's the most expensive thing and probably the most effective thing. That also means you're increasing the value of the thickness by another 3/4. So in certain areas, you'll be 1.5 inches of insulation. Our value in England, I don't know if it's the same around the world, but our value means the higher the value, the better the effectiveness. So I would say that's probably about an R7, R8. In England, I think R11 to R15, for instance, is what you're trying to achieve in an attic or something like that. So let me know in the comments below whether you think that I should be going with one skin over the joists, inside, in between the joists with plasterboard, or in between the joists and over the joists as well with the board, and then plasterboard on top of that. Obviously, one's going to have a higher cost, and one's going to have a higher height. We don't want to lose height if possible, but the installation I feel in here is probably more important than the loss of height. So let me know in the comments below what you think. Right, we've got to get the DPM down on here today, so before we do that, we've got to get everything hoovered out, swept out. We've got to get the unit here put back in again, because when we chiselled out this big ridge that was here, all the conduits have dropped down, so we need to get that back in again today, and the electrician now might have to extend these conduits. The conduits were cut to length, with the height of these elbows down here being up in the air. Obviously we've now chopped out what in effect is about 4 inches, so this is all now dropped down by 4 inches. It may mean they don't now get into the unit, so we'll have to put some sleeves on there, sockets, these here, and extend the conduits obviously. The electrician is going to try and come out today apparently, and he's going to deal with the conduit that's going over here diagonally. That's going into this corner here, which will end up being the feed for the air conditioning system that will go on that wall if we ever turn this into a room. Okay, and the other thing I've got to do today, which I'm not looking forward to, let me just spin it around and show you, is taking out this mission. So, as I said, really in an ideal world, we don't want to be messing around with the foundation and the footings for above, but there is no rebar in it anyway. And I'd much rather have this sink up against the wall where I can. So really what I need to do is, where that line's concerned there, I need to literally chop out all of that. So it's a lot of concrete and it's a big job to do, so I don't know if I'm going to have time or the power or the will to do it. And at the same time, like I said, it'd be good to try and take out from this line here, this piece in the shower as well. That would also, if I did do that, it means we could take the electrical conduit they've got over here, over this way, to this part, and come up the wall and concrete that in, and then we can just later on punch that through the wall into the basement next door. These pipes, like I said, I didn't need these anyway, so in an ideal world, I really need to try and get 2 taps, cut that back and put them on there really, so they're just sat there on their own, so they come out of the concrete, ideally a little bit closer over here, you know, like for instance in this corner, get it concreted over, and then just sit, they're just little tails sitting here waiting to be extended. Again, that one can go over there as well. That's what I think they should be, up and over out the way. At the moment they're turned off anyway, one's glued, we've got no choice. The other one is turned off anyway, so there's water in them, but obviously they're locked off. And then that way, obviously, when we're ready, we can obviously just extend the pipe work. All this will be units all the way along here anyway, so we can just put all the pipe work and any electrics into the back if we want to. But I don't, what's the point in losing what in effect is nearly a foot of space in here when we've got the concrete going down? So we'll be able to concrete right up against the wall as well. We'll be able to plaster all the way down to it. And then we just leave this little ledge in here. We're going to use that anyway to build the toilet cistern. The cistern will be on the wall here, so the toilet can stay. But from here, that way, it needs to disappear. So I need to get shaking my rigid old bones with this today. And then obviously when showing comes, we can obviously crack on with getting some other stuff done. We did succeed with this. This has not leaked. I've run some water through both. There doesn't seem to be any leaking going on. So I think we've done okay with those two. I think today I'll get some waterproof concrete mixed up and get it in there to make sure that we're underneath and nice and supported. And then when we pour the concrete, obviously it's going to go right all the way along, which is great. If I do bust out over there, we might have to obviously put the laser on and re-mark those lines again. That's just so we've got something going around for the guys to do. Apparently tomorrow they're going to pull the lines when they arrive, which makes me nervous a little bit. I'd much rather they did that now and pour tomorrow rather than doing that. But anyway, like we said, about the 13-foot mark, we're literally going to go there all the way to that corner. Some of you commented in the videos over the last couple of days that 1 inch is fine. I think we've gone from sort of 5.5 to 4.5 down to 3.5. I think 1 inch is fine. However, if we'd come down to 4.5 inches over here, I'm not too sure we're going to have any cover here. Not that it's essential. We could be the same height. But I think that landed up being about 3.5 inches just underneath here, which is about 1.25 inches underneath the threshold. So if we do 4 inches, then, but again, that doesn't have to be exact science. The guys can obviously do the 4.5 around here and then slope it down for here, then back up again. They could probably do that. Other than that, the other thing I was looking at was this. So one thing I will show you very briefly is this is what we've got going through the slab. So this is what we've got going through the slab itself, which looks like it's basically the diameter just over 1 inch of Schedule 40. And I'll show what I mean by that. So that is the drain that's coming through the patio. But as you can see, it's only about 4 inches. So there's 8 inches coming down. I assumed that was what I was going to try and connect with. And an elbow, a 1 inch elbow would go into there absolutely perfectly. I'd have to bash it in, but it would go in. The downside is, and the positive is, the plumber that fitted it has actually managed to get a 2 inch on here somehow. So he's obviously got some form of reducer or increaser on there, and he's coming out the ceiling in a 2 inch. So what I've got to try and do is, at some stage, cut that back and establish the 2 inch. And I need something that will either go around a 2 inch or in a 2 inch. So let me know in the comments below. That's what I need. I need this thing here. See this piece? I need something that wide, or I need something thin enough to go into there. So guys, in the comments below, let me know what I need. I'm going to be able to trim this off right at the very top here. So this bit up there, I can trim it off from there. What have I got that will go in? I can't go out because obviously that's glued on. I can't get that off. So whatever I'm going to have to do, I'm going to have to go in the hole itself. It's a 2 inch. So let me know in the comments below. What do I need to go into a 2 inch waste pipe? So again, there's the other difference. Waste pipe and water pipe are two different things. So I need something that's going to be able to go in to a 2 inch waste pipe. I've got some 2 inch reducers. They're the same size. So they won't go in. 1 3/4 inches, if I can get one, will be too small. So what do I need to get in there? If I can't go in, then I'm going to take the whole thing out and replace the whole thing, which I'll do if I have to. I mean, it does mean obviously I'll be able to punch the 1 inch all the way up and come all the way down with a very tight elbow. And the tighter I can get to this ceiling here when it comes out, the better. Because I need to run it that way with a run, and that run can't come past the insulation and plasterboard in that corner that we punch through. So other than that, that's it for now. I'm going to go and get messy and dirty and whatever else and get cracking on. So I'll update you throughout the day. Hopefully by the close of play today, success is that chopped out, all of it taken away, everything de-dusted and de-grimed and de-gritted and all the crap gone. Everything in here, including wood and lengths, etc., taken out and all outside. This being completely empty and DPM being down. So we've got some an uphill struggle to contend with, that's for sure. So fingers crossed, wish me luck. Don't forget to give me a like below. Give me the comments on what we discussed, and I will check in with you later on in the day. Thank you. Okay, flipping on 12 o'clock. Quick update for you. We're starting to look a little bit emptier in here. Still a lot more to clear out. We're going to do that in a second. Roll the doors, 8x3s, a tumble dryer, and obviously just some cleaning out some bits here. So let me give you an update on what happened here. So the aim was, like I said, was to take out majority of the 1 foot by 1 foot slab up until the actual toilet cistern, and then continue that into the shower area. But however, we found a rebar. So we clearly didn't go deep enough on the other stuff in order to find the rebar. So let me show you what I found. Okay, so first of all, I started taking off this corner and I found a rebar, which is good news because that does mean it's supporting, obviously, but a downside to that, it means that we can't really remove it. So I thought I'd just double check in case, because there was no rebar over here or here. So I started chasing into here, and as you can see, I hit rebar quite quickly here. So I took it along and the rebar pretty much goes all the way along to here. So we've decided to take out the sink unit here. At least we better get the sink in and build this around the actual sink unit itself. So probably saved about 6 inches. The only downside is I couldn't really move this. So in an ideal world, I wanted that up against the wall and then come through the back of the unit as an elbow, but it looks like we'll have to cut a piece out of the bottom of the unit and slide it down over the waist. This again, we'll get that supported up with some mortar in a minute so that as and when the weight goes on, it doesn't pull it down. We've left that one as it is. The aim was to take this out as well, but we're going to have the same problem. We're just going to hit rebar. So there's no point, obviously, digging into it if we can't remove it completely. Here, we can, again, like I said, we could probably at some stage when this does become a shower, create like a little 2 to 3 foot step here with a slant on it where you can sit down under the shower. Not ideal, I'd rather it not be there, obviously, but we can obviously take that up a little bit and make that a step with some shelving parts on there for stuff. Here, obviously, we're going to build that up to around about 4 foot anyway with the cistern inside it for the toilet. And then, obviously, we can have a nice sharp line here where the unit can slide in. And then we can obviously potentially box that, take the shelf all the way to the sink. And then again on here, might be worth obviously building some units up to the same height as a toilet that are obviously little unit with storage inside it. So this all will be plastered. I think one thing I should have done was just taken the fascia off, because as you can see by standing here, it's not straight. It sort of goes along straight and then comes out at the bottom. So the plan will be obviously to skim that off, make it nice and straight, same width all the way along, and then obviously we'll board it nice and plumb up with a shelf on top. So storage in here, probably about 2 units inside there for storage, a shelf on top. On here, this will just be a shelf for the toilet cistern and then the glass coming out. The thing we will have to contend with, obviously, is how we get the glass against the wall, bearing in mind that that will be here. So what we'll probably have to do is build a little partition up the wall here to the height of the glass. This will be nice and flush, and the glass will have to come up to it and start from fresh. So that's one downside, unfortunately. So it was quite dusty, it was quite manual, but, you know, and it's better than nothing. At least we'll be able to take the concrete in there now. So the unit will sit completely on the concrete and the concrete will go right up against it. The conduit, the electricians did come out. They've obviously taken it to here, but obviously because they've got to try and get cables through it, they can't do 90s. So that's as best they can do, unfortunately. So this will be under, at some stage, we'll take these nice and neat up against the wall here. That's where they'll be concreted in. That one will be up against it. But obviously at some stage, the concrete's going to finish about here. And then we'll have to work out how to hide this conduit inside the concrete itself. Bear in mind the concrete is going to stop around about here. Had to put some thought into that. Okay. But anyway, I do get it. Obviously, they've got to fish cables through here. So obviously it has to be sort of swooping. It can't be 90'd, otherwise they just won't get the cabling through. So we'll have to have a think about that. Yeah, at some stage this is going to be built up anyway, but in the meantime, we're just going to have a conduit, 2 conduits hanging out. We're going to have the hot and cold and this bit of conduit just hanging there. But that's what we'll have to do. In the meantime, we will cut this back. This elbow should have gone left and just gone all the way along this wall rather than coming this way. So we'll have to just cut that off in a minute, stick another elbow on it, run that elbow down to the corner. We potentially could do the same with this one, but that one won't be at the left at the moment. Again, it's just about nice trying to get the pipe work over and neatly up against the wall. The further we can do it away from the end, the better. But it's all going to get covered in concrete anyway at some stage, so it doesn't really make any difference. And then obviously we've got to painstakingly lift and remove all of this lot. But once that's done, the DPM can go down, and the DPM then is about waiting for tomorrow for the guys to pour. So that is it for now. Anything you need to ask, fire in the comments below. I'll update you as and when we finish in here and have obviously emptied it and we'll start putting the DPM down. We'll probably stick the DPM together because obviously I think they're 10 foot sheets, 10 or 12, I think 10s. So we'll obviously get lengths in here, mask and tape, stroke, duct tape them together so they don't move around. And like I said, we might cut a few holes out and obviously get some waterproof concrete down to hold the actual conduits in place directly to the binding floor. But obviously that means we'll have to cut on the DPM, which I don't really want to do if I can help it. But let me know in the comments below, is securing the conduits down to the floor better or not versus compromising a hole in the DPM itself. So anyway, apart from that, I'm all good. I'll check with you later on how we finish off, but fingers crossed we'll finish today with everything being done, ready for the pour tomorrow. Fingers crossed it goes well. Okay, welcome back. We're finishing off for the day. So, changed, because that was a bloody hot day and hard day. So everything we set out to do within reason was done. Apart from the DPM, we did run out, unfortunately. I didn't realise. I just didn't think. They're 100-metre rolls, 100-foot rolls, sorry. And this is about 36, 37 foot in length. So stupid oversight. Just to let you know, in Coinman's, right at the very back of the drive-in warehouse, they do DPMs. They call it 4mm, 6mm. Let me know in the comments below what you believe 4mm, 6mm is. They've got 1mm, 4mm, 6mm. I would assume it's the depth, but it's not. Clearly, if you had a 6mm piece of plastic, I'm not sure that you'd actually get the roll in the car, number one. So yeah, what does 6mm mean? Is it 1/6 of a mil? I assume that's what it actually is. But anyway, so I've gone with the thicker 6mm. It's about 159 for a roll, which is 100 foot by 12 foot, I think it is. 3 lengths just about go overlapping each other with the right overlap. However, it ran out in that corner. So I've had to buy another 100 foot for what in effect is for 20 foot, 22 foot. So, welcome to my world. I think 2025, I don't know if it's been for you, but 2025 certainly is starting off being a complete bitch. But anyway, these things are set to try us, as they say. I'm going to spin you around in a minute, show you the plumbing, because I've had to move all of that. We managed to get the Hilti back to the company by 10 o'clock this morning, which was the time it was due to go back, but there was a couple of things we needed to do, and we didn't realise that until it was returned, which I'll show you in a second to show what I mean. But anyway, let me spin it around and I'll show you. Okay, so, I don't know what's going on there now, that's probably me. It's meant to be there. So what I've done is I've shortened this. This elbow was right over here, so I've cut that back and re-elbowed over in order to get this tighter. I've cut this elbow off. This one was coming over here as well. I've chopped that off, put an elbow to go straight left, and now we're getting them nice and tighter. Is that English? I'm getting it nice and tighter. All the way along here. We'll obviously have these up against the wall as tight as we physically can, and this is the bit that I really ballsed up on. You saw in the previous video just a minute ago that we hit the rebar and I left it as it was. What I didn't realise was that this line itself was not past this column. Eventually, if this is going to land up being a room, this will be plasterboarded, and then there will be a slight return here, then there'll be a door, and then so the wall itself will come right across. Now, when we were standing over here with the column itself was actually coming before the pipes. So the pipes were over this way. So now just about the pipes should just be in the wall now if we look at doing that. What I didn't want to do was have 2 pipes hanging out of the concrete floor and the wall be behind it. So ideally we need to try and channel those through the back. Now I'm still going to have to get the laser on it. In fact, I will do that now. Be interesting to see whether the actual laser says that we're going to miss them or not. I mean, there's nothing we can do. I had to do that manually by hand. And as you can appreciate, in this heat, that was bloody tough. So we're roughly about there. Oh yeah, okay, so we're no problems now, look. So Again, the other issue we did have was the electrical conduit. The electrical conduit itself can't be bent too much, like I said earlier on, because they need to feed cables through it. And what I didn't want was it coming out the ground. Now, I can't see where the line is. Is it about here? Yeah, so we'll cover the concrete. The electric conduit should just about, it'll be under the concrete by here, which means even the conduit itself will come out in the actual piece that we'll build up. So eventually what we'll end up having here is we'll have a wall built up here. And then in here, we're going to have storage in, like I said, and we'll run the hot and cold along the actual storage all the way along to feed everything else. That's the plan, Stan. So obviously I had to cut these back, obviously, so they're all done now. That's all nice and neat. The only thing I haven't done is turn on the water to check the leaks. So I need to do that in a second, because the last thing I want to do is pour concrete and not test. Because now my luck, I'll then start getting damp patches coming through, and then I'm having to dig the whole thing back up again, which will not be fun. So as you can see, the DPM's all down. I was in two minds what to do about these columns. Obviously damp's not going to come through that column, but I wanted to obviously come up and over. I was going to put a DPM sheet around the actual column, and again fold that over the top of this. So I'll probably do that tomorrow. I'm not going to bother now. And obviously then I've got to run the next one along here. We did put a little bit of concrete over here just to stop this from leaning backwards, because when that gets pressure on here, we need to try and get as much concrete underneath, obviously, but obviously the concrete weight going on top of that, I didn't want that to lean backwards. So I put a little bit of concrete there to stop it going backwards. And I've also done the same one here. I want to make sure that that doesn't go backwards. So it's up in the air slightly. And it's concreted now, which means as and when the concrete goes underneath, again, the pressure won't push down on that and make that move. We need to think about what we're going to do with the holes. Obviously, the DPM is about trying to stop the damp coming up. So what we might have to do is cut that out, put a bit of DPM underneath it, and then let the concrete pour on top of that. Otherwise, we'll end up having, I would have thought the weight of the concrete should take it down, but it's the thicker stuff, which means it might not. And then obviously we've got the actual pipe itself here. And as you can see, there's a hole there as well. So you might have to cut that out and get some concrete in there, and then put another bit of DPM over the top. As we might have to do with here as well, we'll obviously have to cut that out. What I've actually done in here as well, by the way, just put a bit of concrete on there so that when the concrete does get poured on top, it doesn't push down and put pressure on there. And I put a bit of DPM underneath it, so we can afford to cut this piece in middle and make the actual sides go in the hole itself so the concrete pours in. Bear in mind, we do have quite a bit of a damp patch there, and we don't know where the hell it's coming from. I would say it's coming from the garden, and it's coming along underneath and soaking, as well as being on the water table. We are on the water table here. So within reason, and the electricians obviously came out, you know that anyway. They've obviously just tried to make these pipes a little bit lower, because obviously we're going to be pouring, as you can see here. That is where the lines are. See the black lines? We really are going to be very close with these. Not too sure we've actually done those low enough still. So yeah, what's happened here is over here, you can see how much height we have. We literally have 5.5 inches there all the way around. See the black lines? They're all 5.5 inches, but we seem to really lose that depth the further over here we come. So we really are going to have quite a thin bit of concrete over here. It's probably talking 4 inches, and obviously we might struggle to cover those. So that's not ideal. I might need to undo that little bundle there and try and spread them out a bit more. But again, they've already laid them. I'm not too sure. So I will certainly try, that's for sure. Yeah, really, we need the electricians here to look at that. If it was 5.5 inches, it'd be absolutely fine. I would swallow that up, no problems at all. But obviously, because we're very low down there, I'm not too sure if it's going to do that or not. But anyway, that's pretty much it for the evening. I thought I'd just go check in. It's been a hard day, hilting all of that out, cutting all of it, redoing all the pipes, sweeping out all of in here, getting all of that big heavy wood out. Obviously, the 8x3 is bloody heavy. So we're going to be selling some of that wood as well. If anybody wants any, let us know. We've got some 2x4s. We've got some 2x6s, we've got some 8x3s, we've got loads of insulation, stuff like that. So if there's any parts anybody needs, please let me know. I'm sure we can try and connect you with something. And then after we've done the floor tomorrow, which hopefully will go according to plan, Then it's going to be a case of getting the plasterers in to do the walls. Once the walls are done, then it's cracking on with the ceiling and getting this turned into a nice white plain room. The next thing's going to be, what should we do with it? Let me know in the comments below what we should do with it. But anyway, and also I've got to sort that out. But again, that'll be later. I don't need to, until we're actually doing the ceiling, that is really not a concern at the moment. Tomorrow's the pool. Tomorrow we've got to make sure we're sheeting out everything out there. I mean, I don't know if you guys have been involved in pools before, but you know, things like this, that's going to have to be bagged up completely. They literally just spray everywhere. So it's going to be a messy job tomorrow, even though that they're using a pump. I think it's going to be quite messy. So we need to make sure that the whole garden, the wall, the whole entrance in, anything like the doors over here, get them all bagged up, taped up, and just make sure as and when we see splashes everywhere that we just get them wiped off, because otherwise they grow hard and then you're done. And then I'll also make sure they hose down the road out the front, because I don't want massive piles of concrete out on the road. But other than that, we're pretty much ready tomorrow morning. Obviously, sheeting this bit, I'll probably run all the way down to the whole length, purely because of this issue we've got down here with damp, and this being the bit where water does penetrate. Yeah, and then just try and stand back and watch the mayhem. Fingers crossed for once, we will have a good pour. The surface will be amazing, everything will be flush, everything will be tidy, and it will be the best job we've ever seen. Let me know in the comments below what you think. So anyway, thanks a lot for watching, and don't forget to give me some comments below. And if you get any time, obviously give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Thanks very much.